Hello, friends, and welcome to another live edition of Syracuse Sports. You got Brent Axe, you got Chris Carlson. And you know what, Carlson? As we like to say in our business, we are not going to bury the lead tonight. We're going to get right into it. We're going to talk a lot of quarterbacks tonight because I know that's what the people want. We're going to give the people what they want. They want quarterback discussion. And our Syracuse Sports Insiders asked some terrific questions. So we are going to dive right into that. We're also going to discuss the latest injury news from camp, an interesting observation from both defensive backs coach Joe Schaefer and defensive backs / wide receiver star Demetres Samuel Jr., and have a good, meaty football discussion centered on the quarterbacks. A couple things that caught Chris's ear this week, as Chris has been there with Javon and I at every practice throughout training camp, and we're going to give you some good, meaty football talk. As this quarterback discussion comes down to the wire, everybody we've talked to says the second scrimmage, which is Saturday, is going to be the deciding factor in this quarterback decision, and we'll know QB1, at least I think we'll know QB1 shortly after that. So, Chris, before we get into all that, we're about halfway through camp, getting ramped up to see some real football here soon. They won't let us watch the scrimmage, so we still have to wait 16 days for real football.
Yeah, it'll be nice to, it'll be nice to see. I'm sure those guys are tired of hitting each other. We don't get to watch them hit each other much, so It'll be very nice for us to watch them hit somebody too.
Yes, it will, for sure. Now, quarterbacks. You guys have questions. Chris and I are going to get right into this. Our Syracuse Sports Insiders really brought it today. So I wanted to spend a lot of time with what you guys asked today. And just a reminder, being a Syracuse Sports Insider means you get direct text message access to me anytime you want. You can send your questions, your comments, the things you want Chris, Javon, and I to ask Syracuse players and coaches. You just want to shoot the bull, talk SU sports. You could do that anytime. When we have breaking news, you get it first as a Syracuse Sports Insider, and as the expression goes, and so much more. It's just $3.99 a month, but you can try it free for 2 weeks. This is the perfect time to try being a Syracuse Sports Insider for free for 2 weeks because it's a training camp. The first thing we do when we walk off the field after training camp practice, we text you, our insiders. You get it first. You get exclusive video and so much more. Chris, Randy's just bringing the fastball. He says, what are your and Chris's predictions on who Fran will select at quarterback? Answer with no prep, no canned answers. Don't select Collins and Angeli just for debate. If you pick the same quarterback, so be it. All right, Carlson.
You're making me go first.
I'm putting you on the hot seat, baby.
Okay. Randy, this is I have no inside information. So I do need to level with you there, in terms of, where I'm speaking from. To me, everything we hear from everybody, Rickie Collins is certainly the more gifted runner. He probably has a slight edge in like pure arm talent. And I think coaches usually want the more physically gifted guy to win the job because the ceiling is the highest when that guy wins the job. So I'm going Rickie based on that. But everybody we've talked to says they're both great and it's really even. So that's where I'm at. I just need to level with you. But I am taking Rickie just based on pure ceiling for the team.
I am taking Rickie Collins Jr. as well. Now, I think we are allowed a little bit of an asterisk here, okay? If Rickie goes out there in the second scrimmage, which I need to reiterate, Fran Brown, Jeff Nixon, Nunzio Campanelli, those are the three that are deciding who the quarterback is, have all said they want to see 2 scrimmages.
Yep.
So I think they're letting that process play out. But as I said on Monday, I think Fran wants Rickie to win the job. Fran Brown is going to give Steve Angeli every opportunity to win this job. They're going to be fair.
The better guy's going to win, right?
The better guy will win. No doubt about it. I have no doubt about that. But look, Fran Brown brought in Rickie Collins to be Kyle McCord's successor. He made that connection. He won the job in spring. In an interview that came out earlier this week, but was filmed before camp, Fran Brown did with Matt Park. He said it's Rickie's job to lose, right? But Fran Brown is fair, and he's going to let this play out. And they brought in Steve for competition for a reason. Every major big-time P4 program has 2 or 3 good quarterbacks in the room. Of course, they also brought in Steve Angeli because Rickie got hurt at the end of spring, and you just don't know with an injury like that, right? I think that competition breeds the best of people. Fran wants to see that at every position, including the most important on the team, and I think he's almost daring Rickie to lose the job. Now, if Rickie goes out there and throws 4 picks in the second scrimmage, we could have a different discussion here. But Chris and Randy, with your great question, the other reason I think that Rickie is going to be the guy, and it's close, guys, it's close, like legit. I think it's legitimately close. But the reason I think Rickie's going to be the guy is this. Fran Brown does not strike me as the kind of quote coach that plays it safe. I think he likes the risk of putting Rickie Collins Jr. in there for what you said, Chris. He's the more physically gifted quarterback. He can make more plays in that realm. Steve Angeli is the safe play. Steve Angeli can run an offense. Steve Angeli has more experience, not much more, but he does have more and has played in big games. And I think that's why they brought him in. Now, if he came in and beat Rickie and was the guy, great. That's what competition's all about. But Fran does not strike me as the let's play it safe type of coach. So as long as Rickie goes out there and continues everything we've heard so far in camp, he's going to start against Tennessee. Now, that leads me to another question, Chris, pardon me, which kind of lends itself to this discussion. And that is this. How do you feel the quarterback that doesn't start will react, as John B. asks here? Will they immediately go in the portal or stick it out to see if the quarterback who starts has a bad game and then to be replaced? Now, Chris, these guys are both transfers already. And, I mean, it's not like you're going to September 1st if you're not the starter on August 30th, right? But here's something that I also believe. I think Rickie Collins is starting against Tennessee, but I unequivocally believe we're going to see Steve Angeli on the field in real football action. And particularly when you have UConn and Colgate early in the season, both quarterbacks are getting out there in some capacity, right? So that's how close this is. And whoever loses the job, don't go far because you're going to have the chance to play. What do you think on John's question there?
Well, and I mean, right? Kyle McCord was the first Syracuse quarterback to make it through a full season healthy in a long time,
Since
right?
Ryan Nassib, yeah, 2012.
So just odds are like both guys are going to get a chance to play. Both guys have seen that. I think, Steve Angeli certainly did with Riley Leonard. Like he played last year, even though he wasn't the starter. So I think both guys know you don't just run and hop in the portal because you're mad. Now, I do think whoever doesn't get the job probably leaves after next season because, they're not going to want to go into the next season also coming off the bench. So, I think the portal movement happens then, but I think both guys are pros. Both guys have sort of handled everything great from training camp. All their responses have been spot on. Everything their teammates have said about the way they've handled the competition has been spot on. So I think they'll handle it in season, very appropriately, and both will stay prepared. And I'm with you though. I do think odds are that we see both in games this year.
I'm sure I could put money on that somewhere if it's Vegas or donuts on the corner. They're both getting on the field. This is not going to be Kyle McCord start to finish, Ryan Nassib 2012-ish start to finish.
I mean, just the schedule, right? And that's part of it. Like the amount of hits the quarterback is probably going to take against a really tough schedule.
Exactly. Now, I will throw this twist in the wind, Chris. If you believe the Syracuse Football NIL store, and I'm going to put it up on the screen here for a second here. Let me get rid of that other question so people can see this. Bada bing. This is a post on the Syracuse NIL store put up today. Just dropped. New Syracuse Football NIL jerseys. Fire. Shop the new era of football jerseys at NIL store. You're welcome for the free commercial, by the way, guys. And support your favorite player on every purchase. Who's the player that we're looking at right there, Chris?
Steve Angeli, not affiliated with Syracuse University, correct?
I believe so. There is a partnership between the school and Syracuse NIL store, but this is not like Syracuse's official NIL outing. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong on that one, but I do find it interesting that if you're trying to sell some jerseys, quite literally, the one that they picked was Steve Angeli.
That is interesting. It's
just, do they know something we don't? Have they been informed to get the sales going because Angeli's going to be the guy? I don't know. Just being fair here. Just throw it out there for a little discussion. A couple more on the quarterbacks here, Chris, because our insiders really brought it. Sam W. says this. Fran's comments in his interview with Matt Park shifted my prediction on the quarterback battle from about 50-50 to 80-20 in favor of Rickie Collins. It sounds like he's going to be the guy. Now, it should be duly noted that interview was recorded before the start of training camp, right? And when he says it's Rickie's job to lose, that goes back to Rickie was QB1 out of the spring, right? So technically he is QB1, right?
He stayed consistent on that Rickie won the job coming out of spring. It's his job to lose. That's how he has messaged that.
That's how he's messaged that. But again, I think that Fran's got a little more skin in the game in this discussion. I think he wants Rickie in it, and he's doing everything he can to basically say, prove to me you're not my quarterback. I named you QB1, right?
And I mean,
did you survive the test?
And in terms of a guy like Fran who wants to bring in competition at every position, at all times, right? That's his motto. Mm-hmm. Like, what better advertisement for that than, Rickie was our starting quarterback. I brought in this guy, Steve Angeli from Notre Dame. Everybody thought that he was going to be the starter just because I brought him in for competition, but he wasn't the starter. Rickie was, because it was a true competition. I stick to my word. Like there is no better advertisement for the Fran Brown way than that, because usually you don't bring in a quarterback to not be the guy. Correct. So there was sort of this assumption that Angeli would be the guy just based on that logic. It would be a real nice advertisement for Fran's way of doing business if Rickie wins the job too.
Chris, everybody we've talked to has kind of put Rickie and Steve into one category or the other. Rickie is unequivocally the more talented player physically. Bigger arm, he's mobile, he could do a little bit more, which is the other reason I think he's going to win this job ultimately. Is if I'm Jeff Nixon, I want the quarterback out there that gives me more options, right? But Steve Angeli is the quarterback that is calm, that is a leader, that has experience. He's not going to throw a lot of picks. He's not going to make a bunch of mistakes. He's going to run the offense, right? To me, and we, you can go either way on this discussion. I say tomato, you say tomato. I'd rather put out the more physically gifted guy, challenge him, and if he just goes out there and falls on his face because the experience is too much for him, I've got the backup. I've got the guy that's been there and done that can come in and save the day. And that's another challenge for Rickie. Fran says, Rickie, you're my guy, but look over on that sideline. If you start screwing up and you prove to me you can't handle this, he's coming in, right? That's the benefit of having a Steve Angeli, as opposed to if you went all in with Rickie Collins and your backup was Luke Carney, a freshman, or somebody not as experienced as Steve Angeli. Jakari Williams is a redshirt freshman. Let's not forget. It's a very young quarterback room. So it's another reason to lean Rickie's way, I guess.
We have a message on the bat phone that says the NIL store is a third-party licensee with over 125 schools. So third-party, no affiliation with Syracuse. Good to know that there's no the call is not coming from inside the house to put the Steve Angeli merch on sale.
So the third party, and that's what I thought it was, but thank you, Tyler, for clarifying that. They think it's Angeli. That's their choice. That's what they're going with. Maybe the Rickie tweet comes out tomorrow. I checked that. There's no Rickie tweet up at this point, but they're saying dropping the jerseys. That's who's there right now. They're thinking it's Angeli. That second scrimmage is going to be very important in this discussion, as we mentioned here, but let's get through a couple more of the great questions from our insiders here. Jack says this: I think it's really important that Rickie is awarded the job. I think it's good to establish the quarterback of the future. What's interesting about this, going back to that
they both
question,
have multiple years. They can both be they can both be the quarterback of the future.
Exactly. Steve has 2 years. Rickie has 3. They both have multiple years of eligibility left. If Angeli was more in line with the Kyle McCord, you got 1 year, clock's ticking, that's why you brought this guy in, I would be heavily in the Angeli camp. But they both have multiple years. So per that question earlier about will they transfer out, I think that's probably what you tell these guys. Look, that's the modern era of college football. If you don't win the job and you sit on the bench all year and the portal opens, you've got an opportunity to go elsewhere if you want to. That's part of the game. But if Angeli was a 1 year guy, I'd be leaning more that way, right? And then if he, goes out there and doesn't perform, then you've got the guy who is the quarterback of the future, locked in, ready to go, and it's his job. Keith has this, Chris. He asked me, but I think for both of us here, do you think the defense will play a little more aggressive this season? And do you feel like the depth is better? Well, this brings us to something Fran Brown said, actually. So, Keith, not only let Chris and I discuss this, let's let Fran Brown kind of answer this. Chris, you were really intrigued by this the other day. There's such a hyper focus on first game, Tennessee, who's the quarterback? Fran has said all along, coaches have said all along, be where your feet are. It's a long season, man. and depth is so important. And Fran actually touched on this the other day. So I want to actually play a couple clips from Fran Brown on that subject and another. Let me find the one we're referring to, though. I believe it's this
I think
one.
they're doing a good job. I think that coach.
Oh, that's the quarterback one. This is the one we're discussing here about depth and message to some younger players on the team. Stay ready.
It's a long season, so it's all about the finish, right? I mean, this season going to go long, and I just hope that they have that mindset, right, of being able to focus, and that's what I'm trying to instill into them. So parents, tell your kids stay focused and finish. There's no need in, oh, you ain't playing, we leaving, right? Just take time, because you never know what'll happen, right? Davian Kerr didn't play all year. He was on the scout team, ended up started the last 5 games, and now he's starting nickel for us, playing a little bit of corner all the time. Like, he's on a little bit of everything, punt returner. So it's just hang in there, keep fighting, keep working, and it'll work itself out. That linebacker room is deep, and I think they all get the opportunity to go out and showcase their skills.
Chris, that really jumped out to you. So let's add in Keith's question to what Fran said, and then depth, which is always important, which by and large I do think is better, thanks to the portal and thanks to some really good recruiting.
Yeah, I'm hoping over the next week to sort of explore how much Fran has raised the talent level of the overall roster. So hopefully, I'm putting some pressure on myself, but spoiler alert, gonna have to get it done now.
Just hit a deadline for yourself live on the pod. I love it.
You know, but the depth is better, right? That is the point of the recruiting class. Like, Fran is routinely getting high 3-star guys. We know that stuff matters. So those freshmen are more physically capable of going into a game and holding up than the true developmental freshmen that Syracuse's roster had a lot of in previous years. Now, they're still freshmen, though. So, like, it's not great if you're relying on them. It would be better if they're sophomores. So the depth is certainly better. Is it, where Syracuse needs it to be where Fran wants the program to be? Probably not. But I think it's certainly headed the right direction. I think that's probably going to be a theme that I beat the drum on a lot this season, because Fran's comments did make me think. He says he's talking to the parents, and I'm sure he is. That's a good message for parents to hear. Is he also maybe talking to all of us, right? This is going to be a tough year. It's a long year, but we've got some talented guys at the end who are going to be sort of seeing the field and growing, and they're the future. I think it's really hard to keep that in mind as we watch a season play out, especially against the schedule that Syracuse has. But I feel like that is a drum that we all have to we all just have to be aware of that over the course of the year, I think. And it's hard. It's hard to think long-term when you're in the middle of it.
I feel like in every room, there's a mix of guys that have a little bit of experience. Look at the quarterbacks, but then you got a freshman, running back. You seen Willis had a breakout freshman year, has some experience, looks great in camp, by the way. Like, physically, he is. You can light a match on that guy. He has put on a lot of muscle. Will Nixon has experience, but got injured. And then you're counting on younger guys like Jaden Hart and Coleman. Wide receiver, you've got experience in the room, like Justice Ross Simmons, Darrell Gill Jr., Jonte Cooks played a little bit, but is still younger but brings talent. But then you've got Boobie Johnson, who got hurt, unfortunately, and is out for the next 5 weeks, but he was running with the twos, according to Fran. And younger player, Demetres Samuel Jr., who's going to get some run at wide receiver, right? Everywhere you look, he mentioned the linebacker room, experience with Derek McDonald. Gary Bryant comes in as a transfer. Defensive line, mostly experience with guys like Tank and Jobity. The most experienced guy in the room, David Reese, who's been around for 8 years, right? But then you look in the cornerback room. There's some younger guys and some transfers getting some run. So I guess you could say that about a lot of college football teams, Chris, but it just feels like, yes, the depth looks better. And you're looking at some of these guys. You transferred from Rutgers. You transferred from Alabama. You transferred from big line schools. The stars next to your name and the accolades of the recruits are better, but there's still a lot of guys that just don't have enough game experience that are being given big roles. So, Keith, I think the answer ultimately to your question is yes, I do feel like it's better, because I think the players in those descriptions, even with their lack of experience in some cases, is better. And I think you're counting on better talent there. Will the defense be more aggressive? Boy, that's a great question, because one of the questions that I have, Chris, is the pass rush. Where are you going to generate that pass rush?
Yeah.
I like what I see from David Reese, but I've got to see it here. I like what I've seen from David O. I like what I've seen from, who am I forgetting on the pass rush front there? There's a name that'll pop in my head.
Dennis Jaquez?
Dennis Jaquez. Thank you. Sorry, Dennis. Forgot your name there for a second.
Maybe the tackles. Are you thinking Deion Wilson, Kevin Jobity?
No.
More the Deion's.
But I'm thinking, like, can those three guys alone generate enough pass rush that you don't have to blitz? You don't have to send a linebacker. You don't have to bring in that star guy, whoever wins that position, which is an open position right now. Fidel Diggs last year, that was your pass rusher. Yep. That guy, you could count on him to line up at the end. He could line up at linebacker. You could move him around like pure pass rusher.
Yep.
Those other three names you mentioned, I've seen spots of it, but I don't have that feel good, he's going to do it guy. Someone has to step into that role, right? So will they be more aggressive? Can they be more aggressive is a question, considering there's a lot unproven there, whereas right off the bat, we knew Fidel Diggs was going to get after that quarterback last year, and really got after the quarterback last year.
I mean, I think the answer to that question is yes. I think they have to be more aggressive because they don't have Fidel Diggs, right? Like, they're going to have to blitz more than they did last year when they didn't blitz very often. And Elijah Robinson is a coach who I think in his heart, like, he wants a phenomenal defensive line that can get after you with four guys, and so he can drop 7 into coverage. Like, in his heart of hearts, like, that's what he wants to be able to do most of the time. And I think that's what they tried to do last year with Fidel. And Fidel brought the pressure. Like, I have worries about the pass rush, so I think they have to. And Elijah did at one point talk about this. You know, I asked him about replacing Fidel, and he's like, well, pressure can come from a lot of different places, right? It doesn't have to come from the defensive ends. So to me,
which is code for we're trying to figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah. But like, I think they're gonna have to blitz, right? Like, I don't think that they have a defensive end who's as talented as Fidel. So I don't think, like, I just think they have to. Like, they're going to have to be more aggressive.
Here's why I hesitate to say they're going to be more aggressive. What we have heard Robert Wright, Elijah Robinson, a number of players discuss. I wrote about this on syracuse.com as well, so please go check that out. They have put a heavy emphasis on tackling, Chris, by their own admission and by the stats. You wrote about this too, as a matter of fact. Their tackling was poor last year.
Yep.
And I'm not telling tales out of school. Talk to any player on that defense, and they'll tell you, we didn't tackle well. The stats say it. My two eyes say it. It was a problem on this team. So do you feel comfortable saying, yes, they should be more aggressive when they couldn't tackle last year? So if they've, in their mind, fixed that problem, then be all aggressive all you want. But it could be a double-edged sword if you're being more aggressive to compensate for what you're missing, trying to spread it around, but you still can't tackle well, right? Then you're just, it defeats the purpose.
Sure.
Great question, though, Keith. Thank you for that. I do have one more here from TK, Chris. It goes rapid fire, but we can answer all these quickly. My man. Any mention of CBA's Darian Williams? Unfortunately, Darian's been in either a green jersey, or today we saw him, as a matter of fact, in a black jersey. Now, black jerseys are usually reserved for quarterbacks, which means, like, don't touch that man, right? So Darian's still bouncing back from an injury. He was in drills today. I saw him in the quarterback wide receiver drills. He's just not quite edging into anything of a rotation at this point, but a player I'm excited to watch.
But their wide receivers are good. Their wide receiver room is pretty good. Jonte Cook, really Darrell Gill, Justice Ross Simmons, Jalen Hornsby has looked really good to me out there. So, I don't know that we're going to see Darian Williams emerge.
No,
early.
That's nothing against him. That's just a stacked group.
I just think they have a good wide receiver group.
You just said it, Chris. Jalen Hornsby has, we need to write about him and put a little bit more of a spotlight on him at some point. He has looked terrific at camp. But see, here's the thing. When Justice Ross Simmons is telling you he's going for 1,000 yards, you kind of have to focus on that, right? I mean, you have the lead guy in the room of interest in Jonte Cook. Everybody's excited to see what he can do. Darrell Gill Jr. brings the experience, and I didn't drop a pass last year. Justice Ross Simmons is healthy again, and he is darn confident, as he told you, getting 1,000 yards. One guy had 1,000 yards last year, and that was Jackson Makes.
Two guys did come pretty close. I don't think I'm going to rub it into. If Justice Ross Simmons comes close, I don't think we're going to rub it in.
Question 2 from TK. Any further, quote, lock-in of the offensive line depth decisions? Now, one guy that we have felt very confident about is Austin Collins at center.
Yep.
Good story up on him on syracuse.com right now as well. He moved into a green jersey today.
No, he's been
off to the side
for a while,
not participating in drills.
Yeah.
But he was not in a green jersey until today.
Gotcha.
Green jersey means limited contact, and his left foot / ankle has been heavily wrapped. So he is being held. Now, sometimes green is just precautionary. Just you're working through something. We don't want to risk it. He seems to be legitimately kind of in between. Like he's not out of practice. He still has his helmet. He's still doing certain things.
He's got something bothering him.
But something's bugging him, right?
Yep.
So Collins is locked in. Big Spoon is locked in at one of the tackle positions. Anybody else you think, Chris, on the old line that we can put lock in?
So it's hard because we have not really seen a whole lot of unit drills, probably by design. They've rotated through a lot of bodies and combinations in the periods that we have been there. And Fran said on Monday that they weren't going to do the depth chart until Wednesday. So what we've seen, theoretically, we should just throw away and ignore. I did talk to TJ Ferguson, the Florida State transfer, on Tuesday, and he said he's been working at both guard spots. He's been with the first unit. Now, if we, he certainly thinks he's sort of been part of that first unit. If we touch if we trust Fran, maybe there is no first unit, but he's a guy that I guess I would expect to be a starter at the moment, but I don't think I would say like locked in either.
TK's third question, same for D-line depth decisions. I think D-line's pretty set. I think you got Jobity and Tank in the middle and a combination of David O. Reese and Jaquez on the edge. And then place kicker improvements, I don't know. I have not seen Jaden O, Trip Woody kick a football. The kickers are kept way off on the other field. It's actually one of the lacrosse practice fields that's fenced in. We can't see over there what they're doing. I did talk to Jaden and Jack Stonehouse today. There was a lot of focus in that discussion about how they improved from last year. There was a lot of penalties on special teams, a lot of block kicks on special teams. How are they adjusting to Ricky Brumfield, the new special teams coach? Jaden O told me not quite as sexy as the quarterback discussion, Chris, but he doesn't know if he's the place kicker yet. There's a competition there with Trip Woody. I anticipate that Jaden O is going to win that job. He was put on scholarship in the offseason. Trip Woody came in from Iowa. I just don't think he's quite ready to step in there and win that job. So I think Jaden O is going to be the kicker going forward.
Yeah, Ricky Brumfeld, for what it's worth, says they're both doing well. Said it was a competition. So, I guess no worries because everything's good.
No competition at punter. Jack Stonehouse was he's getting a lot of preseason accolades. I get that email from the ACC. I'll tell you what, if you're Fran Brown, who's always looking for that extra log to throw on the fire of motivation, Chris, we get these emails all the time from the league, from different things, Maxwell Award, preseason awards. Not a lot of Syracuse guys on those lists this year, whereas last year there was a lot.
Yep.
Kyle McCord, Marlo Wax, Fidel Diggs, Justin Barron, all the guys that are currently in NFL camps, basically, right? LaQuinn Allen. And that, again, speaks to there's not a lot of experience on this team in key areas. They have to prove to those people that make those lists and the media that make those lists what kind of players they are here versus where they've been elsewhere or what their capabilities are. So that's not a knock on Syracuse. It's just there's a lot that they have to show.
It is a reason to be skeptical.
Yeah.
Right? It is a reason to be like, boy, I don't know, because we don't know. But it's not a reason to say like, oh, they're bad, because like we don't know. Like that's sort of the story of the season. Like a lot of these guys have really good recruiting ratings. They were really talented coming out of high school, and they haven't had the opportunity to show it in college. So are they going to show it this year? We don't know.
A couple other things, Chris, before we exit stage left for the evening here. So Demetres Samuel Jr. has certainly been one of the most interesting players to watch at camp. In spring, we learned quickly. Okay, 17-year-old. He was 16 at the start of spring ball, turned 17 during spring ball. He's getting on the field. He's going to start. Now, getting starter designation in spring ball doesn't mean a lot in some ways, right? But the fact that a 17-year-old impressed the head coach
when you're a 17-year-old and the coach says it,
that's different. We don't see that every day. And then we learn he's going two ways. So we get to fall camp here, and we're watching, and we're seeing him on both sides. He's running wide receiver drills. He's running D-back drills. Often in the same drill, he'll just kind of flip around and do one or the other. So we talked to Joe Schaefer today, the defensive backs coach, and Javon talked to Demetres as well. This story is up on syracuse.com right now. And I just want to read you a quick quote here from Joe Schaefer, who said this, quote, "He's doing a great job on both sides of the ball. He picks it up fast. He works to study and learn it. I would say he's probably about 50-50 between the offense and the defense and how he's splitting the reps." Javon talked to Demetres tonight, and he said this, quote, "Even though I'm the youngest on the team, 17 and everything, and I'm a freshman, they don't look at me that way. He looks at me as a regular upperclassman human being." I like how I put that, upperclassman human being. That's how
you're a
my
freshman, you're not a human being.
But you have earned that status, Demetres. Congratulations. He goes on to say, he sees me in a leadership role, and I just have to step up and help the team. And 50-50 reps. All right, look.
I don't think he's counting the reps. Like, I don't think anybody's there with a marker. Like,
is he really going 50-50? Like, the quarterback reps are there is like an accounting firm that counts those, but is he really going 50-50? And if he is, Chris, let's take Joe Schaefer at his word. Should he be going 50-50? Like, this is your starting cornerback, and he's spending half of his time on the offense. Like, I hope Demetres Samuel becomes Travis Hunter and everything they hope he can be, but I don't know about that, man. I think this is when your skis start to flip over your head a little bit. And if he's truly going 50-50, I admire the confidence in this player, but you might have to slow your roll on that one. That might come back to bite him a little bit.
I think it is a good question. I don't think that either of those people are probably counting the reps. I'll be very interested to ask Fran on Monday about it, because like, it also surprises me because they do look pretty good at wide receiver. They do need a lot of help at cornerback. Like, we know that he is going to be playing a lot at cornerback. So it would be surprising to me if he is not spending more time learning defense than offense. But maybe he's picked up all he can pick up in individual drills. Lord knows we are ready to be done watching them. And it's just about like getting ready for games and seeing game prep. But I think it'll be an interesting question for Fran.
I will say this, Chris, and I mean this in a positive way. Fran Brown coaches everybody hard. Like, come to practice sometime and listen to Fran on that wireless mic, and he doesn't care who you are. Like, he's going to ride you. I think he's riding Demetres a little harder because I think he's trying to up his reps. Like, there will often be times where they'll do a drill, like, do it again. Like, just get him 3 quick reps because he's a freshman, because he's trusting him for this big role. And I think Fran is doing everything he can, and then a lot of time at practice, just get him the reps. Just do it again. Go. And the way that Fran, I can't think of any way to put this. Again, it's not a negative. The way he yells at Demetres during camp, like projects himself to Demetres, is very encouraging. And is a way like, I'm trusting you, man. You're my guy. So I'm going to ride you. And this is going to be the best for you, particularly that position, of course, where Fran used to coach. And pretty much every practice we go to, Chris, the allotted time the media gets, Fran's with the defensive backs. He spends a lot of time there.
Well, that's a specialty, right? And you heard Joe Schaefer talk a little bit today. It allows him to sort of focus on the safeties, and Fran spends a lot of his time with the cornerbacks. So, pretty good division of labor there.
So they're trying to defy time in a way. You know, you're given this amount of time, but let's beat Father Time and give Demetres as many reps as they possibly can in that time frame. 50-50. I don't know about that, but I'm with you. I'll be curious to see what Fran says about that. And again, I admire his confidence in the guy, but logic does apply at some point here, even in football. And we'll see if that works out in the end. I'd love for Demetres to prove me wrong.
It could also change, right? It could also change as we get closer to the season. And
this is true.
Right?
You're at a point of camp where if you can do it, now is the time.
Yep.
Right? When they lock in on Tennessee, it's like, look, it's 80-20 now. And we'll incorporate you into the offensive game plan. But I thought that was interesting to hear.
It was interesting. And it will be interesting to hear Fran's thoughts too. Because like, if anybody actually like knows the numbers and like knows the actual plan and, you know, can speak to it with some sort of, you know, definity, it's him.
So Chris, practice is closed tomorrow. The scrimmage is closed to the media on Saturday. We will be potting again on Monday. I think we're going to know the starting quarterback.
We'll see
on Monday.
Okay.
I think if I'm Fran Brown and I discuss the importance of the second scrimmage and I have a day or two to sit on that, by the time Fran hits the podium Monday after practice, and that's a later practice, if I'm not mistaken. Is that a 4:20 practice, I believe? I could be wrong about that.
I don't have the schedule.
I don't have the schedule right in front of me, but no matter when it is, I think by the time Fran hits that podium, maybe we don't know who the quarterback is, but he's going to tell us, right? I could be wrong about that. Maybe they watch that second scrimmage and like, well, why are we going to tell Tennessee who our quarterback is? By the way, Tennessee pretty much locked in on Joey Aguilar as their quarterback. So one half of that quarterback battle is known at this point. So by the time we are back on Monday night, perhaps you, Javon, and I will be doing the pod if the quarterback decision is made.
Ooh, big show.
Big show.
Big quarterback show.
Big quarterback show coming up. I think by the next time you watch and listen to this pod, we will have QB1. Chris and I have made our lines in the sand, if you will, and sand is easily brushed aside and changed. I think we should be allowed. I wish
our emailers didn't make me do that. I have like no faith in anything.
Our texters.
Yeah, sorry.
They email too sometimes. Yeah,
old man here email.
I think we should be given a little bit of room to, any good opinion is shaped by new information. Okay. So if something happens Saturday that changes my opinion, then maybe I flip over to the Angeli side of things. But where we stand right now as we sign off here on this Thursday edition of Syracuse Sports, we think that Rickie Collins will be QB1. That is the guy that Fran will be talking about on Monday. We shall see. We'll see if Fran even reveals who QB1 is on Monday. I think he's going to. I think he's a man of his word. I think they said 2 scrimmages, and then they're going to know. And Chris, your team's got to know who their quarterback is. And even if they know and they try to keep it from the public, like, you can't do that these days. It's going to leak. Okay. Once they decide who QB1 is, it's going to get out there one way or the other. You don't have to play the cloak and dagger game with Tennessee. Tennessee knows it's going to be one of those.
In a world of agents, it is harder and harder to keep secrets.
Yes. We like those agents that talk, by the way. So when we meet again, friends, on Monday night, I believe we will have QB1 and can lock more in on that player, what they bring to the offense, what they bring to the team, and how they will beat Tennessee August 30th in Atlanta. For now, it's been a live edition of Syracuse Sports. Thanks to you, Chris. Great job. Read all Chris's stuff on syracuse.com, Javon and myself as well, keeping you updated there. The Syracuse Sports Insider text line, of course. Sign up today. You guys brought it tonight. Awesome questions as always. Keep those coming, and we will go to work answering those for you throughout Syracuse football training camp. Keep that coming. Please subscribe on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. So if you missed the live edition here, you can watch and listen on your time, on demand, whenever you want. But thanks for hanging tonight. It's been a live edition of Syracuse Sports. We will catch you next time, guys. Have yourself a tremendous weekend.